Welcome, everybody.
We are learning Mishnah's Kesubos, Parak Ches, Chapter 8, Mishna Gimel, Mishna 3. All right, an introduction. Although a husband has a right to use and profit from his wife's property, the property itself belongs to her. She brings a property into the marriage, or she inherits. Something comes, she inherits a property. She receives a gift of a property, but she's bringing a property into the marriage. So we say that the usage of the land belongs to the husband, but the actual property itself, the body itself of the property belongs to her. Therefore, you may not use it in such a way that nothing is left for her. You can't use it in a way that he uses it up. He's got to use it in a way that her ownership of the actual property is still existing. So if the property is productive land, this is not a problem because the husband can farm it and reap its produce without damaging the ground itself. He takes care of it properly. At the end of the day, he is being able to use it, and the principal, which belongs to her, is still there. Now, the question is going to be, what happens if, let's say, she acquires things that are not land? Okay, land is something that that can last. But what about something if she goes in and she acquires something that's not going to last? So let's read. Nafal Kesufim. What fell to her were money. She inherited money. Whenever the Mishna says naflu, they fell, it means inheritance. Doesn't only have to be inheritance, it could be other ways also. If she's gifted the money. At the end of the day, anything that she acquires, the point is that the principal belongs to her, but the use just belongs to him. Now, she inherits the money. He uses the money. What's going to happen to the money? It's going to be gone. It's going to be done. It's going to be gone. So what happens then when the money, which is the principal that belongs to her, she owns, but the husband has the rights of usage? How is that going to work out in a way that he's able to that the property is left for her? Says the Mishna, Yilakach behen karka v'oichel peris. What he does is he takes the money, he buys land with it, but land is bought with it. That's what it means. Yilakach behen karka, land is bought with it. The land now belongs to whom? Belongs to her. And now, and now he eats the fruits. It's like if she would have inherited a land. He uses the land, so now he didn't inherit a land, she inherited money. But now the money is used to buy a piece of land. That piece of land belongs to her. And now he uses the land because he has the rights of usage to his wife's property. That's called Paris. He has the fruits. He has the produce of the land. Now, let me read to you from the bottom. Since the money is hers, the husband must take care to preserve its value. He is thus required to buy land with it, because land is considered the safest investment. You may not use it for some other riskier venture. Okay? Don't go put it down on stocks, horse races, whatever it may be. You have to make sure that you have the money in a way that the money is going to have the principal money belongs to her, is going to be able to last. It's going to be something left for her. So the safest investment is considered land, where again, you have the land, she owns the land, and the husband has the usage. Okay, so that's what happens if she inherits money. Peris atlushim and akarka. Let's say when she inherits or she acquires our detached fruits from the ground. You do the same thing. It's like inheriting money. If you're inheriting an object, the object belongs to her. He has the rights of usage. How is he going to use it in a way that it should be able that there should be something left for her? The answer is take the fruit, sell it, take the money, buy a piece of land. The land belongs to her, and the husband has the usage. Okay, now we get a little bit more complicated. Now, what happens if she did not inherit detached fruit, but she inherited fruit that was still attached to the ground? Meaning she inherited the land, and the land still had fruit growing from it. Okay, so what happens there? What happens there? How do we look at those fruits? Those that are still connected to the ground. Amar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said, "Shaman aisan kamehen yafan beperes kamehen yafan beloy peres." We have to evaluate the land, how much it's worth more because it has fruits growing from it, and how much it would be worth if there are no fruits growing from it. And that extra and that difference you buy land with, and he eats the fruits. Now, we in the case where she inherited fruits, right? So that's the principal that belongs to her. So now, but you got to make sure that the principal so there's something left of the principal for her. So you can't just eat the fruits, you got to sell them, buy a piece of land. Now, in this case, the fruits that she inherited were still connected to the ground. Whose fruits are they? Who do they belong to? We know that a husband has the right to the fruits, but these fruits were there before she even acquired it, right? Meaning, I'm sorry, right? The fruits actually belong to her. Well, I'm saying if they be detached, the fruits belong to her. He has the usage, and the Mishnah says, sell it and buy land. In this case, the fruits are still connected to the land. Now, when those fruits, who do those fruits belong to right now? Meaning, who has the rights of usage of those fruits right now? Are they his? Meaning, do we say that already even though they were there beforehand, they are his? Or do we see them as hers? Now, let me read the Chachamim. Let's just get here straight. Right? Meir says that what you do is you don't evaluate the fruit per se, but rather you're evaluating the fruit as part of the ground, right? They're still connected to the ground. So we're not evaluating them as fruits. We're evaluating them as part of the ground. And what difference in value it gives to the ground. There is something of more value to a ground when you get a piece of land that actually still has things growing on it, which means you're going to own those things that grow too. But since they're still attached to the ground, we don't see them as something separate to evaluate them as fruits, but rather we evaluate them as part of the ground. And what difference do they make to the value of the ground? And that's the difference that we say now is going to be, that difference of money is they're going to buy land with it and then eat the fruit. Because, meaning, again, the fruit and the ground are considered the principal. They're considered the principal items that belong to her. Now, he's going to have the usage, but at the end of the day, how's he going to make sure that principal lasts? So we say, similar to what we said before, you're going to do some kind of a sale, but you're not going to make a sale on detached fruits, because right now they're not detached. Right now, we have to value the fruits as part of the ground, and valuing the fruits as part of the ground now means look at what kind of increase in value there is. And that increase in value is what's going to now be, meaning you're basically gonna sell this whole thing. You're going to sell this whole thing, and you're going to have, you're going to go ahead, and this extra amount of money is going to be, you're going to buy land with it, and then he's going to eat the fruits. The Chachamim say, the fruits attached to the ground belong to him. And those detached belong to her. And you buy land with them, he eats the fruits. The Chachamim say like this, these fruits that belong to the ground, who do they belong to? Do we look at them as the principal, as part of the ground, and therefore they belong to her? Or do they belong to him? Meaning, the same way if he would have had a piece of land, and he would have worked the land, and the fruits would have grown from the land, who would have the fruits? He would, not she. He would have the fruits. So now these fruits that were already growing on the land when she acquired the land, who owns the fruits? The Chachamim say, you know who owns the fruits? The husband does. It's his fruits. It's the same thing. The Chachamim consider it the same thing as if you had a piece of land from your wife and you worked it and the fruits grow. Who eats the fruits? He does. She has no connection to those fruits. Say the Chachamim, even in this case where she inherited the land with the fruits, not that they grew from the land, but she inherited the land with the fruits, the Chachamim say, it's his fruits. It's his fruits, finished. And therefore, if it's his fruits, you don't make any kind of calculation about them. He takes those fruits and he eats them. You're left with the ground. The ground belongs to her. He uses the ground. That's the essential halacha. He uses the ground, and that's it. Were the fruits to be detached, okay, then they belong to her. That's a principle that belongs to her. He has the rights of usage, but he can only use it in a way that something is left for her. So we say, take the fruits, sell them, buy a piece of land, and the land belongs to her. He works the land. But in the case where the fruits are growing on the land, the Chachamim say those are his fruits, just like if they grew out of the land after she inherited it. Reb Meir says no, those fruits do not belong to him. those fruits belong to her. And because they belong to her, if he's going to use them, he can't just use them. He's got to make sure that there's some kind of value here that remains for her. So therefore, what we say, but again, the fruits are not detached. They're part of the land. So you have to evaluate them as part of the land. So we evaluate the difference in the land, if now that it has the fruits, and if it wouldn't have the fruits, because that makes a difference in the sale value of the land. And that difference of money is now something that we say, you take that money, that difference of money, you take it, you buy land with it, because again, this is her principal, but he has the rights of usage. How is he going to use it without using it up? The answer is that difference. You go ahead and you buy land with it, and she owns the land, and he eats the fruits. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen with these fruits are, at some point, it would seem that, if we say that he has to pay for their difference, it would seem to me that he's going to eat those fruits, but he's not going to eat those fruits because of the fact that they essentially belong to him. He's going to eat those fruits because at the end of the day, the difference of the value that the fruits add to the land have to be taken into account. That belongs to her, and she has the right to that principal, and therefore he's going to have to make sure that the principal, in this case being the difference in the value of the land, is going to go to her. How is that going to last for her? How is that going to happen? He's going to buy a piece of land with that difference of money, and then he'll work the land. She owns the land. He works the land, he eats the fruits like any other time. But according to Reb Meir, you cannot look at those fruits as his. You have to look at them as hers, as part of the land. But at the end of the day, how is that principle going to last for her? How are those fruits that are connected to the land, its value, how is it going to last for her? The answer is, at the end, it's going to last for her because you've got to evaluate them, which in this case means evaluate them as part of the land and what value they add to the land. And that difference in price is now going to be used. That money is going to be used to buy the land. The land will then belong to her, and he will work the land and eat the fruits from it. Okay. So the Chofetz Chaim was talking about until now the situation of a person trying to make a match for his daughter, and you knew something about the young man, and the discussion was, what can you say about the young man? But now it says the following. Now, let's say, you have a situation again. A man wants to make a match for his daughter for a young man, and you know the girl's side, and you know what's going on with the girl's side. And now the question is, can you reveal to the chassan, to the young man, things about the other side? The hainu he knows that she's sick. He knows that there is something physically wrong with her, but they're hiding it from him. For him now to reveal to the chassan that, no, she does have this problem. And again, we're talking about a problem that can make a difference. That's not a problem of rechilas. There's no problem of rechilas. He is saying it in order to protect him. You have to make sure that the previously mentioned conditions have been met. Okay, which means, you have to intend for the not to get back at the girl's side. It has to be that you're clear about it. You're not going to exaggerate. This is the only way to be able to avoid this person from getting into a shidduch, into a marriage that'll have problems like that. Those were some of the conditions mentioned before. Now, let's say it is heard about, again, the girl's family, that they do not act modestly. They act in a indecent way. This kind of problem, this issue, if a girl comes from that kind of home, then the whole point of what you're really trying to accomplish with a marriage can be very serious, is going to be very seriously effective. So again, being that something that again is relevant to the prospective groom, you have to go ahead and let him know about this kind of a problem. The only thing is that when you're dealing with this kind of an issue about you, that there's some kind of a problem in the family, that they act indecently and somehow, be very careful before you say it to make sure that when you tell it to the grooms, to the young man's side, they're gonna listen, because it's very often, he says, when it comes to these kinds of things, they don't listen. They don't listen about it, and therefore, if you're going to go ahead, if you know that there's a good chance they're not going to listen to you, and then you just say it, then it was just lashon hara. So therefore, he says, before you say any of these things, you got to make sure that they're going to listen to you, because often they're not going to, and therefore what you're going to be saying is just a waste, and therefore lashon hara. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.